So in today's video, we're going to compare the specs of the Boss RC-500 against the Boss RC-30, and whether it's actually worth picking up the Boss RC-500 over the RC-30 in 2020. Hey, what's up? I hope you're having a fantastic day and welcome back to another video. Now today we're going to talk about the Boss RC-500 against the Boss RC-30. Now the Boss RC-500 is a direct replacement and upgrade to the RC-30 looper pedal. They're both intended for the exact same situation while live looping. Two-track loop pedals intended for live performance. Now we recently did a video where I compared the RC-500 to the RC-10R. You can check that out over here, but those were different types of looper pedals. The RC-10R is more of a creation tool and it's very reliant on drum beats and rhythm tracks in order to do the actual looping performance. Now the Boss RC-30 was actually my very first looper pedal that I got for like my 13th birthday, something crazy like that. And I've been live looping ever since. I've used the Boss RC-300, RC-505, headrush looper board, a plethora of different loop pedals in between. And I'm actually really excited to get my hands on the RC-500 because it's going to take me back to my roots of live looping, because throughout the years I've gotten very convoluted and complicated with my live looping rig, and I'm actually getting really excited to just strip it back to a two-track looper pedal. Now for me, one of the major problems with the Boss RC-30 was actually the foot switch layout. Now obviously it's a two-track loop pedal and we only have two foot switches. Now the left-hand side foot switch is for record, play, overdub, and the right-hand side foot switch is for stopping the loop tracks. Now if you wanted to access track 2, you had to do this crazy shortcut where you held down the stop foot switch and that would switch between the track banks. Now for me personally, I found this a very stressful experience because you could accidentally trigger other shortcuts if you held in certain foot switches for too long, and also it was a lot to think about while performing and looping at the exact same time, especially at the time when I was a beginner looper. Whereas the thing I'm really excited about with the RC-500 is the 3-track foot switch approach they've taken. We now have a dedicated foot switch for track select, and this is going to make the whole experience a lot more seamless and a lot less stressful. So let's first talk about two of my favorite features on the Boss RC-500 against the Boss RC-30. The first one is actually the record time upgrade on the RC-500. Now, if you don't know what record time is, this is basically how much storage space is available on the onboard memory on the looper pedal. So for example, the Boss RC-30 only has 3 hours record time, whereas the Boss RC-500 has got 13 hours record time. So this means you're going to be able to save much more longer loops onto that onboard memory because there's much greater space available on the loop station. Now there is a downside to the record time on the RC-500, and that's actually the continuous record length. Now another attribute that record time contributes to is how long you can continuously record on the loop pedal before it shuts off and plays back the loop. Now the Boss RC-30 has got 3 hours record time, both storage and also continuous recording. So you can click record, leave it running for 3 hours, click play, and then it will loop that 3 hours and whatever happened within that duration. However, on the Boss RC-500, we can only do a maximum record time of 1.5 hours on each track, on track 1 and track 2. So that's been halved compared to the RC-30. But obviously we've got the increase of 13 hours to be able to save that onto the looper pedal. Whereas with the RC-30, obviously after you've done that single 3-hour loop, your memory would be 100% full. Now, my second favorite upgrade on the Boss RC-500 is the brand new user interface. Now, on the Boss RC-30, we had a segmented LED display. And this made it very difficult for switching out certain settings, although the settings were very limited. It just would display codes. It would be like 1A, 2B, whatever. It didn't actually display words. Whereas with the brand new RC-500, we've got a brand new LCD display, just like on much higher end Boss looper pedals. So now we have a fully fledged menu system, so we can actually change out settings with proper words in a more user intuitive experience. Some other really cool things that this LCD display brings as well is the new loop light indicator. So it tells you whether the track's recording, playing, overdub, all this type of thing. It makes the loop pedal look a lot more exciting, and this is great for beginner loopers as well because it helps you understand the state of the looper. If you want to learn more about this feature in depth, check out my announcement video over here where I talk primarily about the RC-500 and this new display. Now, a really cool feature of both the RC-30 and the RC-500 is the fact both of the looper pedals are actually battery operated. So this gives you a very, very portable live looping setup that you could combine with a rolling cube, for example. And it gives you a lot of versatility in the types of areas where you can actually perform. Now, it's quite interesting the difference in lifespan we actually get with the batteries on the two looper pedals. Now with the RC-500, we actually get a decrease in the amount of time we can operate the looper pedal on some batteries. Now the Boss RC-30 takes 6 AA batteries, and if you're running alkaline style batteries, you can get up to 7.5 hours of battery life with the loop station. However, with the Boss RC-500, that only takes 4 AA batteries, and if they're alkaline, you can get estimated around 3 hours runtime with the looper pedal if you're not using phantom power on the microphone. Now, I'm gonna put this down to the fact, one, you've got 2 less batteries in the actual loop station, but also we now have the brand new LCD display, which is obviously going to be drawing a lot more power than the super primitive LED display that's on the RC-30. So if you need a portable looper station, busking, or maybe you play a lot outside, you may actually prefer to go for the RC-30 due to its extra runtime. Now, visually, the loop pedals are very, very different. Now, we've kind of gained and lost quite a lot of features on the RC-500's front panel. Now, on the Boss RC-30, obviously we have the rhythm output level and also the mic input level, both as hardware knobs that we can actually access on the fly, whereas the Boss RC-500 only has a microphone input knob, and the rhythm output knob has been replaced with a value knob encoder for actually accessing the menus and the settings of the looper pedal. Now, I actually think it's a great addition that we now have a lot more customization with the RC-30, and in my opinion, I never used the rhythm tracks anyway, so I never used the rhythm output level, so it doesn't really affect me with the loop station. Now, I'm really pleased as well that we still have track level faders for track 1 and track 2. I really love having hardware volume control. Recently, I checked out the Headrush looper board. You can see some of my videos over here, and that loop pedal uses a touchscreen. And the way that you adjust the track levels of track 1, 2, 3, and 4, whatever, you use the touchscreen. And me personally, I like having the physical response and the tactile feel of the physical fader. So I'm glad Boss have kept this from the RC-30 because it works really, really well. Now, the way we actually access the loop effects has changed vastly between the two looper pedals. Now, on the Boss RC-30, we access it in a list style format on the actual physical front panel of the looper pedal. And you just select your type by clicking the type button, then you turn the effect on and off. Whereas now with the Boss RC-500, we access the loop effects via the brand new LCD display. So we go into the menu of the loop pedal to access the effects. Another thing about the effects as well is they've changed entirely. None of the effects on the RC-30 are on the RC-500. It's a totally brand new set of effects. And from the demonstrations that I've seen online, the effects on the RC-500 sound way, way better than the RC-30. Now, I'm actually going to put this down to the brand new 32-bit sound engine on the Boss RC-500, whereas the RC-30 only had 16-bit WAV. Now, I was shocked that it was actually 16-bit WAV. I thought it was way worse than WAV because the RC-30 didn't really sound very good. It just had a lot of tone sucking and a lot of degradation when you were trying to layer a lot of things. And once again, I'm assuming this is because compression was being applied to the overdubs, whereas on the new RC-500, we've got 32-bit, which unlocks unlimited uncompressed overdubs. So I think that's probably why I had issues with the RC-30. Now, if you're actually looking to expand your live looping setup in the future, you may actually be more interested in picking up the Boss RC-500. And this is because it now has Midi integration. Now, the Boss RC-30 doesn't have any Midi options whatsoever. You can't even do Midi data via the USB port on the back of the looper. However, on the Boss RC-500, we now have the new TRS Midi jacks that Boss have put on the back of the looper. So we've got a Midi in and also a Midi out. And there's loads of things you can do with Midi. One, you can actually expand the functionality of the looper. You could plug in an external foot remote so you can make your life a little bit easier while controlling it. Or you could do more advanced things like hook the RC-500 up to your DAW, Ableton, Logic, or whatever, and do MIDI clock sync, all that type of stuff. Really, really interesting feature, and I'm excited to try it out on such a compact looper. Now, to close out this video, do I think it's worth picking up the RC-500 over the Boss RC-30? And on face value, I think the RC-500 is a definite serious consideration. In my opinion, although the RC-30 is a brilliant loop pedal, even when I owned it way back in 2014, it still felt dated then, and it was a new piece of guitar tech. Whereas now, the RC-500 updates the fantastic 2-track format that Boss absolutely nail, and it makes it feel a lot more 2020 friendly. I think it's got some cool features that's going to allow you to expand your creativity and also grow with the loop pedal. I feel like there's not much headroom with the RC-30, hence why I upgraded to the RC-300 within about 6 months of owning it, because I just felt like I outgrew the pedal way too quickly. Now, if you enjoyed today's video, give it a thumbs up and also consider subscribing. I've got loads of Boss RC-500 videos here on the channel, and I've got even more coming as my RC-500 is currently in the post. But as always, I've been Ben Rowlands. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.